What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I hope you like this video. This is Queen Sugar season 7 episode 6. So we start this episode off. We see that Darla and Ralph Angel have to get used to their new home. They're sort of more in the city, so they have more noises. Ralph Angel said he couldn't sleep because the street was keeping him up. And Darla was like, yeah, it don't feel like home to me either. And of course, that's the throwback to, the whole them not being in their home, their space. So we are over at Nova's place. We got Nova and Billy. Billy got up early to cook breakfast. She said, I want to thank you again for allowing me to stay here. And, this is the least that I can do. We found out that Nova's boyfriend ain't coming back home anytime soon. He's still off doing Saving the World, child. And he was supposed to come back that day, but the plane was delayed. And they may come back the next week. And we do know that, listen, Nova is a Rolling Stone. You cannot leave her alone too long, or she's going to find another place to put her slipper, another bed to put her slippers up under. And so that is not looking good for this relationship, even though she said that she really cares about him. Later on in the episode, she talks very highly of him, but child, we know Nova, okay? Some other things happen later on too, so we're going to talk about that, okay? She also mentions her sister's cousin, the woman that she found while she was writing her book. So I feel like the fact that they brought her up, at some point we're going to see her again for some reason. I don't know if she's going to bring some information, or we're just closing a circle, or maybe they were just letting us know that Nova kept in touch with this woman. But I think there's a reason they brought her up, because why would we care? Like, that's not something that I would leave this show going, I wonder if Nova still talked to the one person, the only person that she, like, we only saw the woman once or twice, so it wasn't that serious. Now over to Aunt Vi and Hollywood's place. We see them talking to their foster children, and the younger one, Hollywood is asking him how's he doing, how's school, and the younger one was like, well, what do you mean? What did somebody say to you about school? What did somebody say? And he was like, nothing, like, but what's going on down at the school? And he was like, nothing. And he walks away. So Hollywood was like, something happening at that school, and I'm going to figure out why. Now, we don't find out why this episode. I guess that's something that we're going to address next episode, okay? But something going on at the school with the baby, okay? Well, I say baby, but he's young, maybe 7 or 8. Now, we go down to the mill. We found out that Charlie did donate the mill. So Ralph Angel and Darla are talking to the co-op about, the mill is ours. And they were like, we ain't trying to start this mill back up, are we? No, we're not trying to start the mill back up. Darla was like, but this would be a great place for us to store our reserves. It would be it makes us look good on paper. We lost Rowena's, isn't that her name, Rowena? That's going to be her name right now. We lost her farm, but this gives us some great assets, and it looks good on paper. Darla was like, I'm just going to spruce the place up a little bit, so that if investors do come through, it looks viable, it looks nice. Baby, them farmers ain't trying to hear. Y'all know these farmers don't want to do nothing new, child. I'm surprised they even got them to do this damn co-op. But, Ralph Angel is trying to explain to them, listen, we need this mill. Like, nobody is trying to start the mill back up. Like, we get it. We don't have the willpower, the expertise, and all the other things that we need to start the mill. But the building and the land that the building is on is going to make us look really good. We just got to make it look viable. And they couldn't get that. Like, I don't understand what they weren't understanding. And Miss Rowena was like, listen, I understand. Like, y'all not listening to what Darla is telling y'all. She's talking about tax benefits. She's talking about what it makes us look like on paper. She's talking about the fact that it improves the value of the co-op, and y'all ain't looking past that. And she said, Darla, I see you and I hear what you're saying, and now that I got some time on my hands, I'll help you out, okay? And of course, you can see that Darla is looking very dejected, because she's taking it as a personal affront to what she's trying to do, and you can see that Ralph Angel is kind of giving her the side eye, not side eye like in a bad way, but looking at her like he could tell. He can feel it. He can tell that, she's sort of slumping her head, and he can feel the affect of it all, right? Now, while all of this is going on, Micah is out in LA being real Hollywood. Now, listen, I done told y'all before, and I'm gonna keep telling y'all, I still don't understand this whole NFT thing. But clearly, I'm the only person that don't know what the hell the NFT is, because there's a whole Hollywood scene. They were taking selfies with Micah. He's meeting with the guy that bought the 200,000. He bought the picture for $200,000, and of course, he wants Micah to bring more. He wants Micah. He's like, well, do you have some stuff about your mother paying off the side chick? Do you have, like, he wants more bad stuff on Micah's mom, and I don't know why it's not occurring to Micah that maybe this could have something to do with her campaign to make her look bad, because that picture resurfacing, he showed all of the headlines about her campaign, and of course he still hasn't called his mom or his father back. The guy offered them drugs. Micah took the drugs. Like, I'm like, Micah, this is so opposite of your whole character. Like, come on, this is ridiculous to me. But later on that night, Micah buying shots and living the Hollywood life, and baby, who come through there? His grandmama. His grandmama came through there and scooped him up. She said, listen, I don't want to do this right here, so you need to come with me right now. And she takes him back home, and she talks to him. She said, listen, what's going on with you? Like, how could you do that to your mom? And he was like, I was trying to take back our pain. You wouldn't understand. She was like, listen, let me tell you something. He was like, it's art and it's this and this. And she pulled out one of his old pictures that she had in a frame. She said, no, this was art. And you are talented and you are gifted. But what you have to do is you have to figure out how you're going to use your gift. And he said, I'm just trying to figure it out, Grandma. I just feel like I don't fit anywhere. Dad has basketball. Mom's always been a boss. And I just can't figure out where I fit. And she was like, but you have your talent. You have that gift. You have an eye. You see things that other people don't see. So I'm not sure what it is that you don't see. I don't understand what you're missing. She said, but you need to call your parents. She said, how much did you make on that picture? And he said, 200,000. She said, that's a lot of money. She said, but was it worth the tears of your mother? So the next day, Micah, he talks to his grandmother. And I appreciate that she gave him a little bit of love. She smacked him upside the head a couple of times. But she gave him a little love too. Like, listen, I'm not writing you off. I'm not banishing you. But this was a bad decision, and you're going to make bad decisions. Unfortunately in life, that's what we do. We make bad decisions. So you made some bad decisions. And you need to fix it. And then she told him, you need to call your damn parents. He said he would, but we ain't seen him do that yet, child. So that was Micah's story. Now back to in New Orleans. Darla's talking to Aunt Vi, and Darla's help with getting Aunt Vi at the farmer's market. Aunt Vi is making more money than she was making with the distribution deal. And she was like, wow, like, I really appreciate what you've done for me. Like, I really, like, look at what you've done. Like, the month, she said, you've helped turn my dream into this very viable business, and I couldn't have done this without you. And she was like, well, I wish everybody could see that. And she was like, well, what's going on, Darla? What's happening? And she was like, she told him what happened with the co-op and stuff. And she said, listen, that, they just hard-headed and they're old and they stuck in their ways. She said, but they'll understand. They'll come around. They'll figure it out. Now, Aunt Vi also gave her some of her mail because, they just moved and, the mail is still coming there. That's important. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Now, we have this side storyline. Now, I don't understand why we're starting this series of a storyline in episode 5 of the final season. But neither here nor there. We see Nova going down to an elementary school where she's supposed to be talking about, I guess, her book. But the book is getting banned because of CRT. So this is all about CRT. And the teacher, who's a white woman, she's, Nova was like, well, I don't want to, she said, well, we need to fight back. This isn't fair. And Nova was like, well, I don't want to get your job in trouble. I don't want to cost you your job. And she said, no, we're going to fight back. This isn't right. History is history. We shouldn't have to teach history to make other people feel comfortable, So we see Nova teaching the class, and she's giving them a history lesson on music. And she talked about how all of the modern music we have here today can be traced back to the slaves or the enslaved people. And it was a really good lesson. She talked about the dance. And, how, the slaves weren't allowed to do certain things. And that's where, they would dance without crossing their legs because they weren't allowed to dance. And, they weren't allowed to play instruments, and so that's how they got to tapping their feet and doing and humming and things like that to create an instrument or whatever. And then she showed how it led into spiritual music and gospel music and the blues, and which led into R&B, which led into hip hop. It was a great, like she said, country and everything. It was a really great lesson. I thought it was really cool, but of course somebody complained, and the teacher ended up getting suspended, and now they're gonna fight the city council. I mean the school board. Now in my mind, I'm thinking, you got time to fight the school board. You still got to fight over here for your land with the city council, ma'am. Like, I'm gonna feel like you like if you don't. Moving on. Now Darla is sitting in the car opening up the mail, and she gets it looks like it's a non-disclosure agreement or non-disclosure letter or something from an attorney from Chase. So she ends up calling her friend Justice, or whatever the girl name is, and telling her, he found me, he's got my phone number, he's got my address, please stop talking, please stop telling people, talking about whatever you're talking about. And I'm thinking to myself, girl, that's a conversation you should have when you saw her ass at the coffee shop and she saw Blue. Because she clearly was interested in who Blue was, how old Blue was, and the fact that Blue looked just like Chase. Okay? And when you see the previews for next week, the person that got playing Chase, oh my gosh, Blue is his twin. But moving on. So, she missed the doctor's appointment for the baby. And, of course, Ralph Angel is nervous. He's looking for her. He's worried about where she is. He calls Aunt Vi looking for her. And she ends up missing the doctor's appointment. And we see her out front of the liquor store, and she's very, very tempted. You can see she's tempted. She wants to take a drink, but she actually ends up going to a meeting, which is the best decision for her. And she, is in the meeting circle, and she's talking about that, she was close to using. She was going to relapse because some stuff is going on that's really heavy, and she really doesn't want to talk to her husband about it. And, they're encouraging her that that's what you need to do. Like, you really need to... talk to him, because if it's this serious that you were getting ready to lose your sobriety, you really need to talk, really think about opening up about it. And she said that she would try. Later on that night, her and Ralph Angel are talking, and she told him why she missed the doctor's appointment and that she was going to use, but he wouldn't tell her why. He said not because of what happened at the mill, and she said no, it wasn't that. She said it's just other stuff. It's just a lot of different things. And he was like, well, like what? And she said it's just stuff. He said, well, look, I'm not gonna press you, but you could tell me, basically I ain't gonna press you out, but you can talk to me, you can tell me. Prosper and his lady love, child, they in love. They talking about, child, they just in love. I don't know, they gonna have a bachelorette party and a bachelor party for them. And they just in love. I don't have nothing more for that. They just in love, child. So we had the bachelorette party, and everything is going. It's tame. Ain't no scribbles and stuff. But they are playing Never Have I Ever, and I think Nova and Billy are finding out more information about Vi and her friends than they ever really wanted to know or needed to know. And they're getting a little tipsy, everybody except for Darla, because, Darla not drinking. The guys are over at, Hollywood spot talking. Mr. Prosper asked Ralph Angel to be the best man. He said, your dad was my best man at my first wedding, and if you, I wouldn't mind being my best man, standing there for your father at this wedding. And, of course, Ralph Angel looked like he about to cry, because, Ralph Angel always about to cry, child. But he was like, are you serious, Mr. Prosper? He was like, yeah, I'm serious. He was like, oh, man, I would love to. So he did it. So he agreed to do it. And next thing you know, the ladies was like, I wonder what the guys are doing. And I said, there's only one way to find out. So, of course, Darla drives them, because she's the only one that's sober. And she drives them over there. Hollywood mad that they didn't crash this party. Hollywood was like, I don't understand why y'all here. Why y'all at my party? I don't understand why y'all at my party. But, of course, Aunt Vi can get him to smile. So, they end up having a good time, tipsy and all. Now, one other scene, we see Nova, smoking weed with her friend. Remember her guy friend that she used to sell to, like, the first season? And they got to talking, and, he was telling her what he got going on. They trying to bring a grocery store into, down to the ward, and you know, she's telling him what she's working on, but that she's feeling a little restless because she's kind of, feeling a little restless, whatever. So they talk about the white cop, and that's why I said, here he come. He gonna come back. He didn't go to jail. She said, Blue looks out for each other. Last I heard, he moved back down to Baton Rouge, where he's from. Like I said, child, we know what happens with that. He coming back next episode, and child. Anyway. But that was pretty much the episode. Y'all let me know what y'all think. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.